Hey, welcome guys, and first of all, before I start this What If, there's some news I want to inform you about. I'm gonna be finishing What If Naruto broke his human limiter. It was just a rather long last episode left, so I'm gonna be finishing that, guys. So yeah, soon I'm gonna be posting that. I'm already working on it, so there's nothing to worry about. And also, for some of the old What If that I've not finished and they were close to the end, I'm gonna be using the other voice that I use on Anime Prince, and I'm gonna be finishing them all, guys. So stay tuned for those. I'm gonna be finishing them on Anime King or Anime King 2. The ones that I've were close to end with and I stop at that moment. So yeah, stay tuned for those. But as of right now, I'm gonna be giving you a brand new series on this channel, Anime King 3. What if Naruto was an immortal half Otsutsuki? Yes guys, witness as a half Otsutsuki immortal Naruto. What the elemental nation? How will that play out? So remember to relax and enjoy, and stay tuned for the what ifs coming your way. Remember 4 channels that have post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So without further ado, what do you say we jump right into this brand new episode begin now, guys? The heavens were crying, as the rain seemed to rain down on the elemental nation with a fury, castrating water down, electricity coursing in the air, the clap of thunder raining through the heavens. Tonight was a very stormy night as the rain poured from the heavens. However, for one young girl, tonight was a horrible night. She ran. She ran as fast as she could, making her way, her legs moving as fast as they would take her. However, she was not in tip-top condition. In fact, she was in a bad condition. She was holding her right hand to her side as she was bleeding. Slowly healing, yes, but bleeding. She also had several minor cuts over her body. The clothing that she was wearing was torn. Her sandals no longer on her feet, as they were muddy and dirty as she ran as fast as she could. She glanced behind her red hair glistening as a thunder strike rained from the heavens, illuminating the entire place. That is when she noticed shadows behind her. She did not stop as she increased her pace, making her way. Her face was once again illuminated by the light, as you could see the fear and terror in her eyes. She looked to be around 14 to 15 years old, or perhaps older. She looked quite mature for her age. She was a bit on the shorter side though, as she ran with all her might, as she was slowly getting tired. This was something rare in on itself, because this girl was special. She had a lot of stamina, and yet she was getting tired to show that she's been running for quite some while now, hiding, running, trying to get away from her pursuers, but the place that she was in was long and unending. That is when she came across a giant creek. She slowly jumped down. Her hand slammed against the other side as it hit the hard rock. She gripped on as she looked down before releasing herself as she dropped on a stone platform as she jumped down, hopping down and hopping down. She winced as her wounds were being, well, hurt in this jumping thing. That is when she noticed a kunai thrown. It landed a few distance away from her. However, what made her eyes go wide was the sizzling tag that was on it. Boom! The attack was not enough to kill her, but it was enough to blow her off her feet. She was sent crashing. However, she picked up herself, her arm getting a nasty gash, when several individuals, as they were all dressed in black, landed down. She tried to run away when a bolt of lightning whipped past her and struck the opposite wall, as the entire thing came caving down, stopping her in her path. Her heart felt like it was about to explode out of her chest as she realized she was trapped. She turned around, looking towards them, her red hair castrating down her face soaked. The individuals that stood there, 6 of them in total, looked towards her with a snarl. The leader of this opposite group stepped forward. There is nowhere else to run. I'm surprised that you had kept up this long. You're fast, really fast. But I told you this in the beginning when we slaughtered your guards, that you would come with us. The girl was panicking as she did not say anything, her eyes looking around. When the guy spoke up, as I said, there is nowhere else to run. She felt her body giving out on her. She was extremely exhausted. She had tried to fight and she was able to take down one of them. Her guards taking down a few others before they succumbed to their wounds after being assaulted by these guys. But there was just too much of them and they were elite ninjas. Glancing up, she saw the headbands that they were wearing. She raised her fists as there was a snarl on her face. What? Are you really intending to fight us? The leader said. Look at you. You can barely stand. You won't take me without a fight. So come on! It's 6 of us and one of you, the leader said. You might as well give up before you get hurt. Well, I know that I'm gonna fail against all of you. But I'm gonna kill the first 2 that arrive though. So come on. Who's ready? She said as she took up her stance. The leader chuckled. Those chains of yours are quite fast. Don't think you can catch us off guard again. He threw a kunai towards her as she weaved out of the way. He was upon her in seconds. She turned as she brought her heel up, however he ducked, blurring through hand sign as he slammed his hand on the ground. An earth column shot up, knocking her off her feet. She flipped in mid-air before a kick slammed in her back. She slammed hard into the ground. As she winced in pain, she rolled away from a kick that would have slammed into her stomach. She slowly got to her feet as she lashed her hand out, knocking the guy into his stomach. He staggered back as she thrust her hand towards his throat. However, his partner grabbed her wrists and yanked her, before kneeing her in the stomach as she dropped to the ground. He then punched her in the back, causing her further pain. I warned you. I told you that we would make it painful if you decide to run. Give up, he said as he stomped on her back. I guess I won't be making it home, she thought to herself. As there was an image that flashed in her mind. Several individuals. A large mass of people. I'm sorry, she said, as her body was succumbing to unconsciousness, knowing that once she was taken from this place, she would be put through literal hell. Hey, what's that? She heard one of them said, as there was 2 amongst the group that were censors. The censor from before had died in the onslaught, leaving only one. What are you talking about? Leader said, looking toward his friend. Now that the moon had shined down on them, their features were shown. They were some big burly men. Tall, as their bodies were well jacked, not too over progressive with muscles, but they could handle themselves in a normal stamina battle, given that they were able to take her down easily. After all, she was not a weak little girl. She was a very powerful kunoichi, well in her own right and for her age. But today, she was just overwhelmed. She could not fight so many by herself. That is when the censor pointed. Slowly but surely, they realized the rain had stopped falling, as a mist seemed to gather at the end of the creek that they were in. They heard something, footsteps, and a slow ringing. It sounded like a bell ringing on a staff, like a shakijo perhaps. It had a melody to it, like it was ringing with a chime. The girl was able to pull her head up, her red hair being doused in the dirty water, as she saw someone. She could not see him clearly. She could tell that it was a man though. His outline was shown in the fog. Now, I don't think that is a way for you gentlemen to treat a poor young lady. Why don't you release her and be on your way? The leader stepped forward with a snarl. I don't know who the hell you are, but if you really want to die so bad, stick around, he said. We have no qualms with you, but we won't hesitate to cut you down. Do you understand me? As the person did not say anything. Hey, don't you hear me? The leader said, his Kumo headband glistening, as the moonlight seemed to bathe the entire place, giving it a really elegant view. That is when they were finally able to see him. Well, not everything. His body was cloaked, a brown cloak that covered him from head to toe. They were able to see he had white hair, as a few strands came out of the cloak. In his hand he was holding on to a shakijo. It was long, metal, as it had a round circle with several other round circles around it, causing him to jingle. However, despite the wind blowing, as he held it outwards, it was not moving in the slightest. The leader looked towards two of his men. "We don't have time for this. Whoever he is, he seemed to want to be put down. Kill him. We have to get her back now." The leader pulled her upwards as she started to squirm. However, she was not strong enough. She was already on the edge of unconsciousness. "Shut up! There's nowhere for you to run," he said, yelling at her. "Whoever this guy is, he's gonna be dead soon." The two men that was ordered to move rushed forward, kunais in hand, as they reached the opponent. They did not hesitate as bloodlust reeked from them. One went behind him, the other one was in front. A kunai towards his throat, another towards his stomach. However, it all happened in a flash. He used a shakicho to block the one behind him, before he grabbed the other one in front of his wrists, with little to no effort. What then followed was a snapping sound followed by a cry of pain. The guy in front of him cried out as his hand was snapped by an incredible force. The individual then balanced on his shakijo before he raised his leg. The guy looked up, nursing his broken hand before a sandal slammed into his face. The force that it slammed into his face with was nothing normal. The air around him seemed to gather with a pressure before expelling outwards. His body was blasted over the group. The leader watched shocked as his man was thrown so fast and so far. He slammed into a gigantic rock pillar, his head being smushed by the force and the weight. The one behind him quickly pulled back while he tried to. The shakijo had wrapped around his wrist. To when he did not know, he was yanked forward before a hand slammed into his throat. He could no longer breathe. Stepping back in shock as he tried to get air, he dropped to his knees, gasping out, trying to get breath. However, there was a snapping sound. The leader did not see what happened, but the body was thrown away. The girl did not see any of this. She heard the snap of the wrist, but he had kicked him so far that she was not able to see, as she could not look behind her with her on the ground, nor was she able to see the guy behind him that something just snapping through. He was protecting her innocent eyes that he was looking into, not that she could see him looking into her eyes. Now there was only 4 remaining. The last 2 looked over towards the leader and his second in command. The leader looked towards the second in command. "Take her," he said as he stepped forward. "You two, with me." The 3 of them then proceed to unsheath their blade. The leader having a katana that was a bit curved, the edges looking quite sharp. "I must say, I'm surprised that you were able to take down 2 of my men that easily. But you have no idea who I am, or what you've done. For your crimes against Kumo ninjas, your death will be painful and horrible." He waved his hand with a gesture as the 2 shot forward. Immediately, electricity coursed right through their blade. They then arced their blade forward, releasing a surge of electricity. It crashed into the earth. However, once smoke cleared, there was nothing there but dust. They felt something as the person walked by them, right through the middle. Neither of them moved or react because they were not fast enough to do. But they were unharmed. He did not harm them. The both of them swung, aiming to take his head clean off. However, as he was there a moment, the next moment he was gone, causing the both of them to stab each other right in the arm. The leader was shocked by this display. Was his eyes fooling him or something? They pulled their swords out of one another. Luckily, it was not in the chest. Blood started to pour down. "What the hell?" the other one said to his friend. "You did the same thing, damn it! Where did he go?" As none of them could sense or even see him, they had no idea where he was. They started to panic. "Sir, what do we do?" They looked over towards their commander. Even the second in command started to panic as hell, having no idea what was going on. Were they fighting some sort of ghosts? That is when they heard a gurgling sound. As the leader turned to see second in command holding his throat. Blood was pouring from his throat like a river. He was no longer holding on to the girl. Said girl blinked in shock as she found herself on top of the ravine. Her back turned towards the other side, unable to see what was actually going on. "Where am I?" she said, confused. That is when she heard something. It sounded like the sky itself split open. All she saw was a flash of blue down into the ravine. The leader glanced up. "Oh my god," he said, as he and his man froze on the sight when they saw a beast formed from the lightning itself came down from the heavens, and it struck with a force that annihilated everything in its path. There was no pain, just death. They were gone, erased. The girl was slowly able to roll over on the dirty floor as she saw strange smoke rising up out of the ravine, a lot of it to be exact. She then glanced up towards the individual. She was too weak to even say anything or even get up. In fact, the last thing she saw was a hand reaching down towards her as she passed out. Time skip. The first thing that she noticed was a smell. Something was cooking. Her mind forgotten for a moment what actually happened. She thought that she would wake up in her bed. She snapped open her eyes, expecting to see her younger sister, who always snuck in her room. However, what she was met to was a futon, a rather soft one. It didn't seem to be natural. It seemed like it was made from a material that she did not know. However, it was extremely soft and comfy. She tried to relax into it. However, her eyes really adjusted as she realized, remembering exactly what happened. No, she said, as she started to panic, thinking that she was... Wait, that man. He saved her. She did not know exactly what happened because she did not see the deaths, but she knew he had killed them. But he did not allow her to witness such cruelty. Was that it? Her mind slowly adjusted to what was going on when she remembered that she had smelled something. Pulling herself up, she realized that she was cloaked in a strange grey cloak that wrapped around her tightly. Looking down, she could still see that she was wearing her clothes underneath it that was torn. But the cloak wrapped around her. It seemed to fit her perfectly. The first thing that popped in her head, how the hell did he know her size? Wait, where is she? And who was this guy? Why did he save her? Was she now captured by him? She looked around as she saw there was a fire in front of her with a pot. There was something really delicious inside of it. She could smell it. It smelled like stew. However, where was he? Did he leave her alone? Was this her chance to escape? After all, given who she was and what clan she was from, there was a high possibility that he was now the one that captured her for his own means, because she had no doubt in her mind that those guys, what they were planning to do with her if they brought her back to Humo. However, it made no sense that they were able to find out that she was going towards a Hidden Leaf village. Something here did not add up. However, she could think about that later. She had to leave. She had to run with all her might. She was too afraid, despite after what she just witnessed at being saved. More than enough time now. People try to be nice, but it was all just an act. Time and time again they have shown that this world is filled with cruel, corrupted people, pretending to be nice but they weren't. She had to leave. She had to run. As she turned, she realized she was not bound. His mistake. But that is where the problem lay. She saw him. Her heart almost stopped. She almost died right there and then. This made no sense. Her entire inner monologue. He was just there. This made no sense at all. She was a sensor. How did she not sense him? She looked at him with frightened eyes as she started to look around for something to defend herself. It is when he spoke, as she was able to fully take in his voice. You are cautious of me, but there is no need to be. I do not wish to harm you. Everything will be alright. Despite him saying that, he did not calm her down. Not yet. As she looked at him. Where are we? She said. In a forest, he said to her. Yes, I know that, but where? She asks. A secluded forest, he said to her once again. Was he messing with her? She thought to herself. Where? She asked him. What village? This forest does not reside in any village or is near any that I can think of. Oh, she said, looking around. So, you You saved me, she said to him. Yes, I did. Why, she said. Why did you save me? What do you want? You are very untrustworthy, he said to her. I understand. Before she could say anything, he said that. You do? Of course. Mankind have proven time and time again to be very dark, corrupted, wicked. After all, the intentions of those 6 individuals. It is nothing pleasant that they wish to have done with you. She grimaced at hearing that, knowing that her fate would have been chosen for her if she was actually captured. So, you don't want anything, she said. You are not going to try to kidnap me now. Of course not. In fact, you are free to go. As you realize you are not bound or tied. She got to her feet as she started to walk away. She then paused. You're really not going to try anything? He shook his head. She was not able to see his face this entire time. He was still wearing the hood. That is when something happened that made her embarrassed. Her stomach, it rumbled. As she looked down. Would you like something to eat before you go? No, I'm fine, she said. Before her stomach embarrassed her once again at its rumble. As she sighed. She did not even know where she was. How did she plan on getting back home? She stayed her distance away from him. Do you know these parts? Given that you brought me here, I'm guessing you know how to get out of here and get back to like civilization. I mean, we're in a rather large, dense forest, she said, looking around. Yes, I know the way back. So you're gonna help me get out of here, she said, as he nodded his head. That made her relax a bit more. Usually, it's hard to trust people. Seeing that you've seen my description, you must know what clan I'm from. So you know that majority of people are after my clan members. And things are getting worse. So I apologize if I come off rather insulting or rough to you. I mean, you did save my life from a beyond horrible fate. There's no need to apologize, he said, as he poured the stew. She knew that it was stew in a bowl. Here, eat. She walked over towards him as she took it. I'm not even going to ask if it's poison after all. Why would you keep me alive just to poison me right now? You're smarter than you look, he told her. Of course I'm smart, she said. Her stomach grumbled again before she paused. My apologies, I did not even introduce myself. Well, you didn't either, but you did save my life. Hi, she said, extending her hand. I'm Kushina Uzumaki. He extended his hand as well, as she noticed his skin. It was paler than hers, but not that bad. His hand was large as he took her hand. Large for her perspective, as he shook hands with her. So, who are you, she said. My name is Naruto, he told her. Nice to meet you, Naruto. So, is something wrong with your face, she asked. Wrong with my face, he said to her. Yeah, I mean, why not take off the hood? Are you keeping your identity a secret? Are you some kind of justice peace fighter? Justice peace fighter, he said, repeating what she said. Yeah, I mean, you popped out of nowhere and saved my life. I've heard stories about that kind of thing. Are you one of those guys? I'm afraid not. I am just a wandering individual that came up on a site that displeased me, so I decided to intervene. As Kushina had still not taken a bite of the stew yet. You killed him, didn't you? I heard the screams. But you made sure to block all sight of me seeing anything. Such things should not be witnessed by a child, said Naruto. She puffed out her cheeks. Hey, I'm not a child, she said. Well, you could have fooled me. You certainly look like one. Well, I'm not, she said. I'm 14 years old. I'll be 15 soon enough. But you're still a child, said Naruto. I'm 14, I'm not a child. The last time I checked, 14 still means child, said Naruto. Especially to me. What do you mean, she said, especially to you? Forget about it, said Naruto. Why don't you go ahead and eat? We'll move out tomorrow in the day. You seem to still be tired. Yeah, I am, she said, looking down, forgetting about what he said. I've been running for a long while. As she took a sip, her face lighted up in delight. A brilliant smile seemed to spread across her face, one of joy and happiness. This is amazing. Are you my guardian angel, she asked. Am I your what? Guardian angel. You saved my life and now you're feeding me. Most people in this world would rather let you die than spare some of their food. But you're feeding me, and you saved me. Not to mention you're willing to let me return home. Despite everything, and you're not asking for a reward or anything. Who are you, sir? She said. I mean, Naruto. As I said, I'm just a wanderer. Can I see your face? She asked him. Why? He said. I just want to see my savior, because I have a feeling that if I don't ask, you will not. Remove that hood. He was silent for a few moments before he reached up and removed the hood. It was then that she was able to see his face, and Kushina was struck with shock as she saw how handsome he was. He seemed to be no older than 18 or 19, probably 20 years old. But he was young as well, so why did he pretend like she was just a mere child? 14 was not that young, but still, his face was handsome, excellent jawline. But the thing that surprised her was his eyes. They were white. As she... Wait, Naruto, are you blind? She said. No, I can see you quite well, he said, looking at her. She looked at him strangely. So, you're a Hyuga? No, I am not, he said. He seemed to be angered by what she just said about him being a Hyuga. For what reason she did not know. She heard about that clan, of course. They were one of the several in Konoha. As she looked at him strangely. I've seen a Hyuga before on my trip to Konoha. But your eyes are nothing like theirs. Theirs are more lavender. Yours are completely different. Kushina then looked at him as something struck. Wait. Your hair is also white. Yes, I'm aware, he said. No, that's... She looked at him strangely. I've heard rumors, stories. The first Hokage of the Hidden Leaf, and Mother Uchiha. They were set to perform a battle that was able to shake the very land itself. Naruto did not speak as she spoke. However, Mother Uchiha took the nine-tailed fox, a beast that is known for its power and destructiveness. People say that the beast is a force of nature itself, and there are 8 others, making them 9. The 9 tails being the most powerful. You're quite knowledgeable, said Naruto. I have to be, she said, as she looked at him, not explaining why. The 9-tailed fox was used by Madara. However, the fight between them was stopped, as someone intervened. The first Hokage who had tried to bind the 9 tails and Madara was beaten to an inch of their life. They did not die, but they were beaten so badly. People from all around came to see when there was a light that struck the heavens itself. An unbelievable amount of power washed over the entire Hidden Leaf. I heard it was quite the spectral. The 9-tail was gone soon after. Madara, people doesn't know if he's dead or alive, but given his injuries that several people saw and Hoshirama, they believe that he's dead. Hoshirama Senju had survived. However, he was placed in a state of no longer being able to fight. He died not too long after from a sickness, I've heard. I'm not sure if that is true. But he gave a description of the man that had came, like Kami himself to rain down wrath upon them. He said the man did not speak, but when they saw his eyes, they saw a clear eyes that were showing their own reflection back at them. They said he was so angry for reasons unknown. He struck the first Hokage down with a fury for him trying to bind the 9 tails. The beast wanted to escape, but the first Hokage refused to do so. Mito Uzumaki, a person from my clan, was gonna seal the beast inside of herself. However, she was spared the wrath because she was brought out of the fight, Hoshirama telling her to stay back until he subdued the 9 tails, and for that, he was beaten to an inch of his life. Madara was dealt worse fate. He was broken, left to die in suffering agony. That is why people believe that he's dead. She looked at him strangely. Why are you telling me this story? Said Naruto. Because your white hair and eyes that are not a Hyuga Byakugan is similar to that story. Are you him? The wandering ghost. People say that he's a ghost because he's never been seen again. Until Kumo tried to go after the 8 tails. I'm not sure what the beasts look like. I've only heard stories. It was said that the entire army was wiped off the face of the earth. No one was able to exactly tell what happened, but they say that Kami itself was the one that rained down death upon them, eviscerating everything, saving the tail beasts. Was that you? Said Kushina. Are you the wandering ghost? She looked at him strangely. It must be you, right? You have the eyes, the hair. It's you, isn't it? You know, if you keep on talking so fast, I won't be able to speak. Oh, sorry about that. I tend to talk fast when I'm interested, she said. He did not speak, as he just looked at her. She waved her hand in front of his face. Yes, I can see you. Then why are you not talking? It was you, wasn't it? You should eat, said Naruto. And then get some rest. I see. You're not gonna answer my question, are you? She sighed. Alright, fine. I won't bug you, she said. I'm grateful for all that you've done for me, so I'll keep discretion and keep it to myself. But between me and you, I know that it's you. Kushina ate in silence, as she kept on glancing towards him every now and then. He did not talk or anything, he just kept on looking out into the vast darkness and the trees. Once Kushina was done, as she handed him back the dish, she bowed her head and thanked him for the food. That is when the dishes were gone. So was the pot, as she blinked in shock. She didn't even remember if she saw him eat. However, her body was still exhausted from what she went through, as Kushina ended up lying back down, trying to make small talk, but he wasn't that talkative. However, he seemed to know that she was tired because the moment she placed her head down, she drifted off. Time skip. Kushina slowly opened her eyes. Once she did, she realized that she was under a gigantic tree, the shade, blocking her from any hope of the sun getting near her. She blinked in confusion. Last thing she remembered was falling asleep in the cold night air. However, the warm futon that she was in brought her much comfort. She slowly got up as she yawned, stretching her arms as she looked around, her red hair swaying as it did. She tried to understand where she was, when everything came back to her fully, as she remembered that guy. They called him the Wandering Ghost. For a long time now, people had not believed the rumors about the first Hokage in Madara battle being interrupted because no one had ever seen this man. A man that could literally bring down 2 of the strongest people to ever walk this earth by himself. No one knew who he was or if he was actually real. Maybe this is a story concocted by Konoha to put fear of coming to other members of the nations for them to stop warring. No one knew the truth. However, when the same phenomenon happened once again with Kumo, but Kumo ninjas were not lucky to see the individual. All they came across was a wrath full force coming down from the heavens. The ones that were lucky enough to survive were on the outposts. The only thing they saw was their man being butchered by a light. As when they arrived on the scene, it was nothing but destruction and chaos. Many believe that it was Kami himself raining down divine power on them. The tail beast was also gone as well, as it had been reported in back. Several people believe that this must be as the rumors started to go around about the wandering ghosts. But many believe that it was a hoax, that this man couldn't be real. Of course he wasn't real. There was no one that was so powerful that was wandering the earth. The tail beasts were also a phenomenon that no one could understand. All people knew was they were a being filled with power. Over the ages, people had decided to use them for their own means, believing that they could seal them into themselves, gaining immense power, and for their nations. However, ever since the 2 attacks on the tail beasts, the others have not been seen. No tail beasts have been sealed. But this led to the nations going at war. Over the years, the mantles of the clans have been passed down. Konoha, the Great Hidden Leaf, was passed down towards the 3rd Hokage, who was now in the position of Hokage. However, there were still other smaller nations and clans, such as Uzu, where she resided. Uzu was known for their Fuinjutsu, able to do amazing things with the art of Fuinjutsu. They were the best, unrivaled. However, Over the past couple of years, there was a lot of hate, a lot of anger being sent their way by the other nations because of their help with Konoha. Konoha had a huge boost in their sealing art because of Uzu. However, recently, Konoha was adamant on Uzu joining the village, about the whole clan migrating from the land of Whirlpool towards Konoha. However, her father, the leader of said clan, didn't want to just take everyone up and bring them towards the village. Uzu had tried their best, despite being linked to several of the surrounding villages and supporting missions and blending. They had tried their best to stay out of any war that might plague. The second Shinobi War had just came to an end. There was still skirmishes, and the third was already beginning to start. There was already violence. However, her trip to Konoha was supposed to be a secret, and yet they were somehow ambushed. She did not make it there, as her father had sent her as an ambassador to speak to the people. She was going to be the next clan head after all. However, they were attacked, and her people were butchered. Her guards, they were killed. She was the only one to make it alive because her guards sacrificed their life to make sure that she was safe, which she was. As she bowed her head for them in respect, she didn't have time to do so before because she was running for her life. It seems that the world would never be at peace. There was no deterrent, nothing to stop other nations from invading other nations. As long as they had manpower, as long as they had people, war will always be going on. And the third Great Shinobi War was already starting up. Haven't they lost enough? Kushina blinked as she realized that she was alone. Was he gone? Did he leave her? Was it her fault? Did she ask too much questions last night? Are you ready? Kushina blinked as she spun around, looking at him in shock. How do you keep on doing that? He tilted his head in confusion. Doing what, he asked. You keep on popping up right beside me and yet I can't sense you. I'm a sensor, so how do you keep on doing that? I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about. He looked towards her. He seemed to be amused. Or maybe not. She could not tell. His facial features were strange. Are you perhaps messing with me, she asked. I'm afraid I'm not, he said. Well, maybe she was wrong in this case then. Well, I guess I'm just too deep in my thoughts. So, if you don't mind me asking for another favor, would you mind escorting me towards, well, not even towards, but near to my village, so I can get there? I'm not sure that me walking on my own out here would be safe for my health. I know that you've done enough already, but can you please escort me there, she said, looking at him with pleading eyes. Well, it would be quite a waste if I were to leave you on your own, and you were to be kidnapped again, wouldn't it? Yeah, she said. So, can you help me? I was planning on dropping you off at your village before making my leave. Kushina looked towards him, hearing him saying that he was going to leave made her sad for some reason, despite barely knowing him. Thank you, she said. It's nothing, he told her. As Kushina looked at him, how could one man be so kind and nice? He's already done so much and yet he was here to help her again. As the both of them started to walk, the cloak that she was wearing, despite the place being hot when she started to walk in the sun, the cloak did not give her any heat stroke or anything. In fact, it made her cool. As she walked with him feeling happy, they made their way. So far they had not come across anyone, and they've been walking for hours. He glanced towards her. You have quite a lot of stamina for a child. I'm not a child, she said, but yes, I can keep going for a long while. And besides, now that I've seen your face, you're not supposed to call me a child because you're not even that older than me. You look like you're what, 19, 20, she said. My age is not important, he said. That made her start to laugh. What's so amusing, he asked her. Oh, I know, she said. You don't want to tell me your age because you're actually young. And as long as I don't know exactly how old you are, you can still call me a child for as long as you want. But you're not as old as you pretend to be, are you? You'd be surprised, he told her. I would be surprised to know how much you are. Let me guess. 16, 17? You just grow fast, don't you? I mean, I'm the same thing, so you don't have to worry. I mean, look at me. Girls my age are much more shorter and younger, but I am just 14. And I've already had a growth spurt. Not to be offensive or anything, but you're rather short. So I'm not sure that you had your growth spurt yet. She puffed out her cheeks and folded her arms. I'm not short. Take it back. Take it back? But it's not a lie. It's based off the truth, is it not? I'm not short, she said as she turned her head away, puffing out her cheeks. That is when she heard a sound. She turned as she saw him laughing. For a moment she was amazed as she just watched him laugh. Until she snapped back into focus. Hey, stop laughing at me. Sorry, but I'm not laughing at you, he said. You just made me remember something, which is quite amusing. Oh, what's that? She asks. It's about someone I know. I'm surprised you have friends. And why is that? Well, you're so insulting people height. I'm not short, she said, mumbling to herself. I did not mean any offense. But you are indeed short, said Naruto. She puffed her cheeks out again as she turned away, as she did not look at him. She tried giving the silent treatment until, well, she had to break. She loved to talk, as she was silent for a good 30 minutes. He didn't have any qualms remaining silent though, something that she couldn't bother with. As they made their way towards Uzu. Meanwhile, at said village, Uzu was an isolated village, surrounded by gigantic whirlpools, and a massive barrier. Uzu was a beautiful, stunning village, with white and red buildings. The decor of the village was amazing. There was a massive lake that cut right through the center of said village. The leader of the village, the man's name was Kagami Uzumaki, sat in his office. Kagami was worried. He was worried deeply. He had just assured his younger daughter and his wife that everything was alright. However, he knew it was not. He knew it was definitely not. It had been 3 days now since Kushina was supposed to be in Konoha. However, the message that was sent there by a messenger bird elaborates with a return message that she had not made it to the village, and thus he started to panic. He has been trying to keep his wife and younger daughter assured that everything was fine, but everything was definitely not fine. Kagami had the similar features of Uzumaki. He had dull blue eyes. He had red hair that was cut right at the crook of his neck. Its features show a gentleman that was in his late 40s, probably going on to 50s. His face was calm though, despite the turmoil that he was feeling inside. It's been hard to be a citizen of Uzu recently. They have been targeted. On several occasions now they have been targeted. And Konoha was proving less and less to be reliable. The thing was, Konoha wanted them to move into the village. They wanted Uzu to reside into the village, but it had been several times now that he has turned them down. To show that he was, well, against the idea, he had sent his daughter there to speak to the Hokage. And there was also a message from him as well. She would be the next clan head, as he was training her to be such, his lovely baby girl Kushina. And yet, it has been 3 days, and still nothing. The guards that he sent with her should be efficient enough to handle any surprising threats, unless someone decided to sabotage them. No, they were allies. His mind wandered towards the possibility of Konoha doing something this crude. However, he refused to believe that he would. Harrison had proven to be a trusted man, and he would not jump to conclusions just yet. He was already preparing a team as we speak to go and begin the search. His thoughts were interrupted when someone burst inside of his office, unannounced. The person, whoever it was, seemed to be frantic. It was a young man, as his hair was tied up in a ponytail, his eyes looking towards his humble leader as he bowed. "Sir, I have some grave news," he said. Moments later, Kagami stand up on top of a massive tower that was right at the edge of the gate. It was a post, as his eyes were looking through binoculars. Looking through said binoculars that were enhanced by Funjutsu, his sight was able to see far, resembling like the Byakugan. And what he saw troubled him. Ships. Entire platoons of ships coming towards the village. Numbers of shinobis stacked on top of them. 2 men stood beside him as they were up in the age as well. "This is bad," the one to the left said. He had several scars on his cheek that seemed to be claw marks that heal over time. However, these were specially done, given that Uzumakis can heal from basically anything without a scar. But he was a very old man, so he has been through a lot. One of his eye even seemed to be a bit dim, like it was half blind. He was dressed in a regal robe, like he was very important. The other one seemed to be a bit younger, but he was not that young. He didn't have any facial features or scars that would make him stand out. He had a trademark Uzumaki look with purple eyes. His eyes glanced over the area. We knew this day would come, but we never expected it to be so soon. They've surrounded us, the man said to his leader Kagami. As Kagami then spoke, Toshi, he said. The one beside him in the scar is known as Toshi. As Toshi faced the man, a man that was on the council of the clan. Toshi had a troubled look on his face. Yes, we did know that this day would come, Kagami said out loud. But you are right. We didn't know that it would come this soon. Kagami's mind whirled as he went over several possibilities. We need to move and fast. Gather our forces. Gather the younger generations to help out all the civilians and get them to the shelter. To pass through the underwater base. We have to get them away from the land. We have to get them out of here now. Toshi nodded towards him. He then glanced towards the other one. Aizo, he said, as Aizo faced him. His purple eyes looking at Kagami. Gather all our prepared shinobis. We will stand here and defend our home until all of the younger generation and the civilians are off this land. We will protect the Uzumaki name and legacy. And immediately send a message to Konoha. We need help. The man nodded before he took off. Kagami stood up there, fearing the worst of the outcome of this battle, knowing that it would not be something trivial. They had brought a lot. It seems that they indeed was here to eradicate the entire clan. However, he would not stand and watch his clan fall so easily. Husband. His thoughts were cut as he turned to see his beloved wife. Their age similar, she rushed over towards him, her long, red hair blowing in the wind. How much she reminded him of Kushina. A troubling look on her face. The alarm has been raised. What is going on? He gave her the binoculars. She glanced towards them and saw. Oh my god, she said. They're attacking. This day, it has finally come, she said. A worried look in her eyes. I want you to take our youngest and go. Go with the civilian, go with the people. What? I will remain and help you, she said. I will not let our village fall just like you intend to do. However, she saw the numbers and they were staggering. While Uzu warriors were powerful, the reason why they were now being invaded, they did not have enough. They had people, but a lot of them were civilians, while a lot of them were shinobis in a normal perspective when it comes to normal clans. Still, they didn't have the manpower. That is when someone arrived and kneeled. Sir, we have some troubling news as another one arrived on the scene as well. Yes, there are more of them. They're coming from all sides. Seeing the ships, he thought that it was just all of Kira's forces, with a few missing names blended together. His wife looked towards him in shock, as she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Is it all the nations? She said. The man shook his head from what we were able to see. It's the Stone, Kiri, and Kumo. They've joined forces and intending to eradicate us. They have us trapped. The only way out now is through the underground secret passageway. That is being commenced as we speak, Kagami said. The younger generation and the civilians will be put through first. Our forces are being gathered at the moment. We will keep the village safe until thus time. We will not stop until everyone is off the island. And then we will boom! He was cut off as a massive explosion ripped through the land. A violent blast that seemed to eradicate a large section away from the village. Kagami glanced over as his wife turned around a gasp as she saw the location. It was the escape tunnels for the underground passageway. It can't be, she said. She looked towards her wife, who had a troubling shock look on his face. How is this possible? He thought to himself. As he watched the destruction, he could see in the far distance where the explosion came from as he used the binoculars to make sure. And he was right. The two men that stood there, decked out in full black and red, was speechless as they couldn't believe what they just saw. There was no way for them to escape. Meanwhile, off the island, standing on a boat, was a short man. As he glanced over towards the destruction, this man was none other than Oniki. Oniki was here to, well, make sure the Uzumaki clan fall. Recently, the second Shinobi War had came to an end prematurely because of several bad decisions on their part. However, they had pulled back several of their men indeed. Because they were going to plan to do this. The sealing papers, the sealing tags, the sealing art was becoming a trouble on the battlefield for the ninjas of the other nations. Yes, it was becoming quite troubling. So in order to get rid of it, they decided to get rid of the clan. But not all of it though. They will be taking several Uzumakis each to incorporate the bloodline into their own villages. Someone beside him spoke up. Well, it seems like your bomb units have served their purpose. Now there shall be no escape. Oniki glanced beside him to see a man. Beside him was a very large man. This man was known as A. He had green eyes, a goatee, blonde hair that seemed dull. The man was massively muscular. He was the third Raikage. The A name was a tradition that was passed down to even his son. His son was named A as well, the person that he was trained to become the next Raikage. This man was known as third Raikage though, his name A as well. He was said to be blessed with physical strength, endurance, speed, everything that the human body would need for domination. The man was immensely powerful. The reason why Kumo was said to be the second most powerful nation at the moment, under Konoha of course. As he glanced out towards the battlefield, this had been coming for a long time now, the planning to bring Ozu down to its knees. However, someone there did not like what the Raikage just said about the bombing forces. You should be more respectful towards them. They have just ensured that there will be no one that will be escaping. The Raikage turned towards the man with a glare. They did not seem like they like each other one bit, despite this alliance that they formed. His name was Mew. Mew was the second Tishikage, former that is, after handing the mantle down to Onki, someone that he trained and prepared for the position. Because of several inconveniences, the war between the other nations had not happened. Given the fact that for one they did not try to go after the tail beasts after, they went away. Yes, the tail beasts just went away, and for a very long time now no one has seen them. Most of the war that has been raging was the three nations against Konoha and the San. However, despite that, there was a problem between all three of them. For one, the second Mizukage name was Genjutsu Hoshiki. Genjutsu Hoshiki was the second Mizukage. The man had blonde hair, dark eyes, with thin pupils and a mustache. The man was said to be extremely powerful, one of the rising factor behind Kiri, winning and surviving through several of the wars that has passed already. However, him and Mew never get along. The reason why Mew had stepped down to pass the position to Oniki was because there would be a war that would follow if he did not. The tension between the Hidden Stone and Kiri was rising so much because of this two-man hatred that it was gonna explode very soon. Genjutsu really hated Mew. Mew was not a good person though. Mew seemed to be a person that would join an alliance, but if the opportunity presents itself, Mew would betray you in a heartbeat to make sure that his village survived. He would make sure whatever needs was necessary to make sure that his village lived through whatever comes. And that is why Genjutsu did not like him in the slightest. However, at the moment Genjutsu was leading the massive Kira ships that were heading towards the island. However, this information that led them to destroy the hidden way to escape the village was not something that they just appeared upon. Someone had leaked information to them that now led them to going up against the Uzu village. As Mew glanced over, not even paying the Raikage any more attention, he had two swords strapped to his back. His whole bandaged body was covered, as the only thing that could really be seen was his eyes. As Oniki glanced up towards his sensei who stood there, the man had been adamant that he'd be in this battle. There was a good chance that majority of their forces would fall in this battle, and if anyone were to fall, it better be him than Oniki after all. Oniki was the future of the village. The reason why Oniki was this way was because of this man's teaching. He always drilled into his skull that the Hidden Stone must come above everything else, even if it means betraying your allies. However, right now Uzu was in a pickle, as they were surrounded on all sides. However, the forces were being gathered. That is when several people within the village They all linked to each other at once before they went through hand sign. Hand signs came down as they slammed on the ground. A gigantic, massive barrier started to connect from one to another, building around the area. The barrier slowly but surely started to build and formed together, creating a massive circle around the village as it was about to close. However, before it would though, both Oniki and Mew flew up in the air as they both went through hand sign particle style. It was long before a beam of ray light shot from the heaven, combining into a massive blast. Several of the barrier horde ninjas had to leap away as a beam struck in the village, causing calamity and destruction. The barrier had not fully formed as the area was reduced to dust. The water was vaporized, the wall was done. It was left a big open trench for them to rush inside. Both Oniki and Mew could be seen flying in the air. As Mew nodded towards them, that is when flaming arrows started to be shot towards them. Several archery from the Otsutsuki clan started to rain arrows down towards them. Meanwhile, inside of the sealing room, "What is going on?" Kagami said as he stepped inside. The members inside looked towards him as there was a lot of sealing parchments over the area. There was also a massive surrounded orb that represented the entire village. Several of the manual whirlpools have been taken down. As Kagami opened his mouth to say something when the explosion went off, snapping his head toward the source. "What the hell is that?" "Sir, we got a problem. They're coming through." As Kagami looked as the man pointed right on the massive orb that seemed to represent the entire village. There was a trench going through the village, the water source. "They're using the facilities of the main water flow through the village." "What? How is that possible?" said Kagami. Kagami was shocked. All of this that he was being told was supposed to be a secret. There is no way in hell that they should know about that area, that they could enter the village from this area. He quickly rushed out of the room. He quickly tapped his ears. "Keep me connected," he said, as the man inside nodded before he rushed out. Raising his hand, several ninjas appeared in front of him. They're coming through the water source, trying to enter through the vantage point of the village. "Quickly, shut down the area. I will be there shortly." The ninjas all vanished. As Kagami rushed off, making his way, despite looking like a calm, normal leader, well, he was a very dangerous man. A very dangerous man indeed, as he made his way to get ready for battle, as he would have to go to war. Meanwhile, hundreds of people are gathered inside the safe areas. As those people are gathered, more people are coming in. At the moment, holding on to her daughter, who was deeply concerned, was the wife of the leader of this village. Her name was Kaya Uzumaki. As she glanced down towards her loving baby girl, Kagura Uzumaki. She was 6 years old. She had red hair, but it was much shorter. She had her father purple eyes. "Mom, is everything gonna be okay?" she asked, looking up towards her mother with pleading eyes to just hear that everything will be fine. Her mother always told her everything would be fine, knowing that it would not if they failed, as she did not know the outcome because this was very deadly, and their people could not leave. She hugged her daughter. "Don't worry," she said. "Everything's gonna be fine." "What about Kushina?" Kagura said. "Oh, don't worry. She will be back with us soon, dear. There's nothing to worry about." She knew that she might be lying to her daughter's face, but she couldn't put her in distress in this moment. She just needed to know that everything was going to be okay. Her herself was panicking. Her eldest daughter was out there and she had no idea where she was. As Kaya closed her eyes, holding on to her daughter and seeing everyone else inside, opened her eyes looking around as she saw the people, all of them looking worried. She had to be strong. She had to give them faith. They will come through this. Even if they might not, she had to make sure they had faith. She could not let them go down in this depression. As she walked towards her people, holding on to her daughter. Meanwhile, on the outside, Genjutsu flashed through Hansan before bringing his arm down. The source of his style caused water to rise up and attack those forces. However, several of them went through Hansan as said water was ricocheted off of their Fuminjutsu, causing it to turn back towards the forces. Genjutsu ended up splitting the thing down the middle though. As he raised his hand as several Miso ninjas leaped forward, he had to turn and block a brutal kick that almost slammed into his face. His body was pushed back by the force. A grin came on his face. "Well, I didn't expect to see you so soon in the battle." Kagami Uzumaki. Kagami stood there as he was decked out in a black and red armor ready to throw down. I thought you would be off trying to get your people to safety, but I guess I was wrong, he said with a mocking tone, knowing that his people were stuck here. You dare mock us after coming to our home, coming to our land, and try to bring despair and death upon all of us. It's time that the Uzumakis submit or fall. It's your choice. You can still come out of this alive, but on another village side. Join us. Konoha and the other nations have proven to be unreliable. After all, in your means of dire situations, where are they? Kagami did not say anything as he clenched his fists. Chakra started to gather on his fingertips. The famed Fuinjutsu I heard so much about. However, do not think of me as a normal man that will be falling by your methods. As a gassy-like substance started to leak from Genjutsu. But Kagami didn't seem to be afraid in the slightest. All that was in his eyes was a look of fury and death. That he was about to rain down on all of them right here and now. Genjutsu has us walking into a place where a man that is known to bring down people with just a wave of his hand was now standing in front of him. However, that was not all. Meanwhile, Kushina was blushing. She couldn't help it, as Naruto was holding her in his arms. In order to get back to the village, they had to take a boat. But he did not. He ran on the water. Kushina could do that, of course, but the water was too vast and massive. She would end up passing out before she reached home. Granted, she had enough chakra, but not that much. She was surprised though, as he did not waver, not even once. They'd been running for hours. His speed was immense. She was sure by now that he was the one that protected the tail beasts. She did not know why, though he did not speak about that, nor did he confirm it was him. As they were running, Kushina started to feel something strange. It was then that she saw smoke in the distance. Her eyes widened. Stop, she said, as Naruto placed her down. Looking forward, Kushina saw the area. That's my home. She blurred forward on top of the water running. That was her home. Something was wrong. It didn't take her long to arrive at the reef. Granted, her chakra was still in full circulation because Naruto had carried her the entire way here. Something she was grateful for, because if they had taken a boat, it would take days to get here. However, once she saw what awaited her, her eyes almost dropped out of her skull. She saw a platoon of ships heading towards the village. So much. It was then that she felt something beside her. She glanced up with tears in her eyes. She remembered her father warning her about this. Whenever he spoke that they might be attacked, she never listened. Well, she did, but she tried not to because she didn't want to think about that. Her sister, her mom, her father, her people. They're attacking. They're going after all of them, she said with tears in her eyes. As she looked up towards Naruto, his face was as blank as ever. She looked back towards him. He's already done enough. Thank you for helping me, she said. I will be eternally grateful, as she bowed her head. But I must go. I must go and fight with my people. As she started to move off until he grabbed her arm. Stopping in her tracks. Let me go, she said. I have to go. And what exactly do you think that you will do against all those people? You will fall in battle. It doesn't matter, she said. I can't just watch as my family be destroyed. I have to do something. I might not be strong enough to take all of them on, but I can spare some time for a few to escape. I'll attack them from behind with all I've got. He looked at her, his eyes not blinking or anything. He just looked at her. He then spoke. The Uzumaki clan, always trying to stay out of violence, despite doing missions, despite being a part of the whole ninja regime. The Uzumaki never join a nation. Despite of them just being one clan, they preside by themselves. They're Fuinjutsu, allowing them to stand out amongst everyone. Kushina was upset as she did not need to hear a history about her clan right now, despite it being from the person that just saved her life. And yet still, mankind believe that it's wise to just eradicate children, innocent people, because they have too much power than them. Once again, it has showed its ugly head. The destruction, the Paul activities of mankind. The way he talked, Kushina didn't understand the way he spoke, like he was not included in mankind. Not that he was a bad person. From what she's seen, he was a good person, but that's not what she meant. He sounded like he was not human. Time and time again, peace have failed. Over and over again. I wonder, brother, what would you do if you saw the world right now? Would you regret the decision that you made? Would you regret all the choices that you take to make mankind this powerful? Because this is your fault. You started it. You started this all. And I should have ended this a long time ago, but no. I let it commence. I let it happen. Kushner realized he was not talking to her. He was looking up towards the heavens. However, if it means sullying my hands once again, to have them being drenched in blood, in order to protect a few innocent, I guess I've already made my choice, he said. He looked down towards her. I shall assist you. She blinked. You will? He nodded. Thank you, she said. Look, I know you're strong, but you were right, the two of us alone. I guess we'll go out fighting. As he shook his head, no, you'll be fine. In fact, I need you to stay back. Are you crazy? You can't take them on by yourself. You're just one man. Yes, you're right about that. But you don't know what kind of man I am, he said. As he started to walk forward, Kushna watched him as she felt a strange feeling, a sensation. It felt like the air itself was standing still. He then paused and glanced back towards her. I'll protect your people. They do not deserve this fate. These invaders will be slain. I promise you that. His words. Kushna saw that he was up against an entire army, and yet she felt like he could crush the world itself. Just who was he? Wait, she was right. You're him, aren't you? You're the wandering ghost. He turned back towards her as the edge of his lips seemed to curl up into a small smile. Once again she was confused by his facial expression. It seems like he was smiling, but his eyes didn't seem like he was smiling. As she watches he walk forward into the chaos, standing there, her legs wouldn't move as she just watched him. Was he really able to take all of these people on by himself? Surely something like that wasn't possible. Was it? But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, stay posted. Bye, I'm off now, see you guys soon. Peace.